Yeah, so what's the first thing we see? April 20th. So what does that mean? Yeah, you're like right on that cusp, right? The Taurus and the Aries cusp. So when we go and we see, first of all, the ascendant. Libra on the ascendant. Okay. Yeah, this birth time in this location and this chart in particular, I don't know if anybody's seen other charts for him, but that 26 degrees and 40 minutes. Yeah, this is not, it looks like a whole house system in a way, just because every house cusp line is like at the same degree in this chart. So again, this is wild to see that. Like just looking at the basics. 2640, 2640, like all the way around the chart. And then look, like before we even get into the sun sign and the mind and the Mercury and how I think and all that, you got Uranus in Libra, and it's a retrograding Uranus, and it's in the 12th house. So the hidden subconscious, and I'm the authoritarian, right? And Libra, when it's an extreme energy, well, it's a retrograde here. They can be controlling because it's Venus ruled, and Venus tries so hard in Libra for, oh, I'm drawing Mercury in. Holy crap. Well, that's the head of Taurus, which matters actually. So we're going to leave it there. It wants balance. It's so badly striving for perfection and balance, and with which is weird because you would think fairness and balance, and you would never connect those dots with Hitler, with the word, like with his name. You would never think, how does that make sense? Well, this is subconscious. It's hidden. It's hidden, right? It's hidden. And it's also pretty intense and extreme because it's at 1929. And Uranus, again, the authoritarian, but different and unique. I stand out. We think freedom. So how hard, how awkward to have the sign of independence, the sign of my uniqueness and my freedom, and you're not the boss of me in Libra energy, but extreme, and in the 12th house. That can be, yeah, that would be, I think, a challenge within itself right there. There is the 0 degrees Taurus sun, almost at a 1 degree, but it's at 0.48 in Taurus. So what's kind of fascinating about that is that puts that in this 7th house. And the 7th house, if we look closely, the 7th house goes from 26 degrees, 2640 of Taurus to 2640 of Aries. So there's 3-4 degrees of Aries in the 7th and almost all of Taurus in the 7th. Very fixed energy, stubborn, very fixed in relationships. So again, Venus, remember, Venus is your desires. So very fixed energy. I refuse to budge. It's my way or the highway when we think of fixed energy. And that Venus over there in the cardinal energy in Libra, the cardinal energy starts stuff. It wants to start something. It's not stagnant energy. It's like the mover, the shaker. I'm starting. We're beginning something. It's cardinal. So I got to wonder, wow, having this very strong fixed energy and desire fixed with my desires. Remember, very magnetic energy. His Venus and his Mars, look. His Venus and his Mars are conjunct 16 degrees. He's got a retrograde Venus. Look at the extreme there. Retrograde Venus. Desires. 7th house. Partnerships. Remember, these can be professional and personal. It's Venus conjunct Mars. So when you got your Venus and your Mars together like that, which, yeah, they're conjunct. So what stands out, right? You're taking action with what you value. You're taking action with what you desire. You're not going to stand still. And your desires, you'd have to be very cautious. Very cautious. This would be unbelievably extreme. That is the caution, big time. Because that magnetic sign, like what we desire, it can happen. It can come true. Like we can manifest that and we can make it become a reality, a tangible reality in our world. And this person, Mars, we think soldiers, right? Yeah, we think soldiers. Venus and Mars together. Mars likes to fight. Mars is the physical body. So we often think Venus the female, Mars the male, and them being together. What about Venus and what she desires and the ideal and beauty? What's beautiful? Who is beautiful? Does anybody know history about this man? He did art. I don't know a whole lot of history about him. I'm not going to say I do because I don't. But I look at his chart and I just think, oh my God, I wish his parents would have supported his artistic skills and would have pushed him more to be a performer or an artist. I wish they would have encouraged that. But we come into this world and we're here to have experiences, and some of us have to be Adolf Hitler. Like, that's just the reality. I know some people might be freaked out by that. What else do we see? Sirius at 28 degrees cardinal in Cancer energy, 28 degrees, right? The public, Cancer energy is the public. His midheaven is 2640. His Sirius is conjunct his midheaven. Yeah, his Sirius is conjunct that. And home and family, women, Cancer energy, nurturing, because it's at the midheaven, think of Saturn. And look, he's even got Saturn in the 10th house. But if you've got Cancer energy in the 10th, this can be a difficult placement. Anytime you mix Cancer energy with Capricorn energy together, like whether it's the moon in someone's 10th house, depending upon other aspects, sometimes these people can have emotional imbalances or suffer from depression, right? There's those restrictions and the hard, cold reality and the burden and the duty of Saturn, right? And then the emotional security with the moon and childhood and home. So Sirius conjunct the midheaven, my goal, the world stage, the public, and known. You ever heard his speeches? I've listened to his speeches. They weren't in English. I didn't know what the hell he was saying. I didn't need to know what he was saying. The emotion that poured out. No wonder he was an unbelievably powerful orator. I mean, crazy. I listened and I was like my mouth was open. My jaw was on the ground. I mean, I had always heard, but I didn't really connect it until I watched and listened, and I thought, holy shit. Here's the other thing. Look at this. Neptune at 0. Neptune at 0. 050, right? Neptune, 8th house. Holy shit. What do they say about the 8th house? Right? Some people say the 8th house, other than tragic stuff and healing and all that, they say death and taxes, insurance money, like the only guarantees in life. You die, you pay taxes and you die. Like that's all 8th house Scorpio stuff, right? He's got Neptune there, which is also the finalization, the finishing of a cycle of some sort, right? But it's at 0 degrees. Whoa. Right? Interesting, because then it's in Gemini. Neighbors, coworkers, siblings. It's in Gemini, but it's his thoughts and his mind, the way he communicates and talks. Deep, intense emotions when he communicates. Powerful orator. And what else does he have in the 8th house? The ruler of the 8th house, freaking Pluto. So you see what I said about an extreme chart, but you can see just from some of these things, just from these few things, you gotta, like, there's a lot of power here. And you have to be really careful when someone has this kind of power. You'd have to be really, really careful, because the power of persuasion with the words, with Pluto, like, whoa. And Neptune, the way it's presented, this is the stage, the silver screen Neptune. I can perform. Doesn't mean that I'm fake, but I can put on a hell of a performance, especially with Pluto not far away. This is all in Gemini. The way I talk and communicate and aligns with the way I think. And the true, like, just the connection to the emotion that could be pulled up when it came time to communicate. Holy shit. Super, super powerful. Now, the Mercury, that also has to do with the communications. Mercury in Aries. Mercury in Aries. Maybe an active communicator, using the body when they're communicating, possibly. Think Mercury, the speaking, taking action, talking about how you're going to take action, but very spontaneous, frustrated. Oh my God. This is going to be someone who's going to feel frustrated and be frustrated. Even if they truly aren't being held back, when someone's got Mercury in Aries, because Aries is always in such a damn rush and always wants to be first, it may always feel, or it may think, I should say, it may think that it's behind schedule. And so it's got a lot of catching up to do. So the actions that it takes are going to as if it's in a race of some sort. Now, this is at 25. So this puts this Mercury, even though in the chart it doesn't really look like it, but because there's so much in the 7th house, this actually puts the Mercury, it conjuncts the partnership energy. You see that? 7th house cusp line, partnership, but can also be business partnerships too, professional partnerships. Yeah. So his Mercury was right here. So this means that people that were drawn to him, people that he partnered up, right? Communicators, people who were thinkers that were similar to his own thoughts, similar to his ideas. And if it's in Aries, it's taking action. We're not just going to talk about it. We're going to be about it. We're going to do something about it. So he could easily rally people to take action with what he's communicating about. They're just going to be natural. Like, should I use the word perfect storm? Yes. Yes. If you read about in history, the time and the things that happen, the timeline of when that actually came about, it was just wild the way things happened. Now we go to the 3rd house. Look at this. 3rd house, talking, thinking, communication. Jupiter. He's got freaking Jupiter in the 3rd house. Yes, it's Jupiter in Capricorn. He's also got the moon in Capricorn. Remember, I mentioned something about emotions, and anytime you mix the moon with Saturn energy, Cancer, Saturn rules Capricorn. So we're mixing the moon with Capricorn energy again. So again, emotional issues, just maybe suffer from depression, but some sort of emotional instability likely. This is at 6 degrees. It's conjunct his Jupiter. This is in his 3rd house of the mind. So this combination of just the things I've pointed out raises red flags. 15 degrees south node, Capricorn, with Hygeia. 3rd house. Capricorn is the goat. It's the boss. I'm in charge. I'm dad. This is my house. I make the rules. I'm the CEO. Yeah. He's got the moon. He's got Jupiter. He's got the south node. And he has Hygeia here. And Hygeia and the South Node are conjunct. Hygeia is that health report card. So it's a focus on the goals and the future and what am I building? Material, tangible, what am I building? Very structured. This is business. This is government. This is corporations. What am I building? You know, the moon is the public. It's people. Kind of frightening. South Node is a big release, and Hygeia is there. Yeah, there's that big release, and there's Hygeia. So it's like, you know, Capricorn is the rules and the structure. Some sort of a huge release within those rules and the structure and the order. A big release and a Hygeia attached to it. But then looking at that health report card and saying, there's these reasons why we have to release the old guard and the way things used to be. Because that's Capricorn. It's tradition. Oh, this South Node of Capricorn, this is like we're releasing tradition. We're saying, sure, it used to be that way. It's not going to be that way anymore. We got this other thing going on. It's not going to be that way. And look where his Vega is, not far from the South Node. That powerful Vega, part of that big grand cross in the sky that we're dealing with right now. Cardinal Grand Cross. 13 degrees conjunct his South Node. Freaky, right? He also has Estrella. This is important. The pit bull. Feminine energy, it's like the pit bull. It's in freaking Capricorn. I'm your boss. 26, and look where that is. If it's at 26, it's conjunct the 4th house cusp line. 4th house is home and family, country, right? Your homeland, your ancestry, the moon and your mom, 4th house, your childhood home. What was it like? Capricorn energy is usually burdens and restrictions, duties and responsibility. Dad energy in the placement of mom. So cold, possibly heavy, possibly just maybe lots of rules. Didn't feel a lot like home even. But there's like structure and order here. And if you have Estrella there, this is someone who would, Estrella doesn't know when to stop. Estrella doesn't know when enough is enough. Remember, that's why I kind of use that word pitbull. And again, Estrella has some great qualities, but many times we see it showing up in our charts kind of like as a shadow part of our personality until we see for ourselves where we're not, hey, like that shit's over. Let it go. If we don't see that, then we just keep on hanging on. And so we think of rules and structure and very orderly. And oh my God, dude's got Estrella on that 4th house cusp line, right on it. Yeah. What am I building? Right? Kind of freaky. It's freaky when we know the history now, when we know how this played out. And here's the other thing. Aquarius energy in the 4th house. Now, there's nothing wrong with having Aquarius energy in the 4th house, but it is freaky when you look at some of the other things we already looked at, because Aquarius is the shocks and the surprises. And remember where we started the chart? We started looking at Uranus in the very beginning. Remember what we said about this extreme Uranus, this retrograde extreme Uranus in relationships, significant relationships. Uranus is about freedom and independence. This is relationships. This is fairness. Libra is about fairness and equality. Uranus is about we're breaking free and we're breaking away. And I'll create the new form. I'm the boss. Uranus is also a boss. Uranus is a boss. Saturn's a boss. Jupiter can be the boss, right? There's multiple planets that can be the boss in the chart. This is the one that takes extreme measures, that does something unconventional and different. Extreme because it's a retrograde. Definitely a surprise because that's Uranus in general. And it can use and abuse science because that's Uranus medicine. It can use and abuse science. And I've heard stories where there's a lot of experimentations that were done behind closed doors, hidden, right? People that they, like whether it was adults or children that they were taking and holding all these different experiments on because of his belief in eugenics and whatever the hell. And I hate to creep any further into that because it's just creepy as hell to me. But Uranus matters because this Uranus puts its energy right here. It expresses, it comes out here. You see why this matters? Because Uranus rules Aquarius, but not by itself. Saturn also rules Aquarius. Yeah. So again, this is his emotions and home and family. This is how he gets emotional stability. Being shocking and surprising and different and unique. And there's something about the group energy, big time. Group energy. Yeah, group energy. And of course, not surprised, he's got a Nessus at 21 degrees. Nessus represents revenge in a chart, but we're still following Nessus to see how that tracks exactly. But it kind of is interesting having Nessus there. And then we go and look at Saturn, because Saturn will matter with his Capricorn in the third and his Uranus. Well, where was his Saturn? We already saw it. His goals. His Saturn is in Leo. Leo at 13. His Saturn is in Leo at 13. I make the rules. Saturn. I'm the boss. Saturn in freaking Leo. I am the boss. Leo's ruler is the sun. So it's like, but I make the rules. You will live and breathe and die according to me. And when I say, like Leo can express that way. And I can only kind of say it in such a, dramatic way because, well, we saw how it turned out. Like, this is history on paper, right? We saw how this energy expressed. And let's be clear, you do have free will, right? But because this Saturn in the house that it rules, it was quite empowered because it's Saturn in the house that it rules, the 10th house. My plans for the long term and what am I building, the 10th house. Leo energy. Leo is children. That's really freaky. Because I think of someone who was trying to create their ideal of what the human race was supposed to be, like chiseling and carving it away in different ways. And like that, it was almost as though this became like his great creation. And that's why I was saying in the beginning that I had really wished his parents would have supported, like a really healthy artistic outlook or theater for him in some way. So the spotlight, you can be on the stage, you can be in costume. You want to play the head man in charge, fine. That's like even the past president for the US. I'm like, if that dude just stayed, whether the apprentice ended or not, or he got a new gig, but if he just stayed on TV, he would have been fine. He would have been fine because that's all he wants. He just likes that attention, and he would have been fine. And now he's got himself on all this hot water because it just went to a whole nother freaking level, man. It was like, no, dude, you should have just stayed as the apprentice dude, even though I never even saw that damn show. But that was his spotlight, and that's what he loves. And for this one, not that would have completely satisfied these other things in his chart that speak about the eugenics and using the science to create the perfect race or the perfect human, because there is that connection with the public and human beings in general, and the mind connected to the wounds and the imperfections and the hurts and the tragic stuff. But man, the Taurus energy played a big role in this because Mars is a physical body. You should look a certain way. Taurus is ruled by Venus, so you should look pretty. Well, I can look at somebody, right? All of us have a different idea of what looks like, what we're drawn to. Like, ooh, you look good, right? But what you think looks good isn't going to be the same as what I think looks good. Well, this person had their Venus and their Mars conjunct exactly. And so they feel like they had a really clear idea as to what the physical appearance should look like. Their perfection, their ideal. And retrograding Venus is extreme. And it doesn't help that the Venus, the dual rulership of Libra, That does not help. And because it was a dual rulership of Libra, well, you saw that Libra stuff over there had Uranus at a retrograde, more extreme. And look, Black Moon Lilith, a retrograde Black Moon Lilith. In Taurus, of course, right? Conjunct Algo at 24. At 24, conjunct Algo. Very powerful stuff. Yeah. What about the beliefs? Ninth house, the beliefs. What did I believe in? Again, the connection to the public and people in general, home and family. He's got Chiron there, a wound. There's a wound there. The beliefs about childhood and mom, right? Anybody know his history? Look at his freaking Pallas Athena at 1. Ooh, scary. She's the Pallas Athena, the creative strategist at 1 degrees, right? We think, well, now that we know the history, because it can express different ways, but it's conjunct the part of fortune for this individual too. So something about the public definitely going to be involved here. And teaching and preaching, speaking, publishing, like this is all the 9th house. So if this person lived nowadays, this would be somebody who would be definitely, on every social media site. The public would be really drawn in because of the intense emotions and really aligning with the public and the people, appealing in some way to them because this person feels really, I don't want to use the word authentic, although authentic would be it, but there's something about the heightened sensitivity with Cancer energy and the empathy, that connection where they feel like what they're talking about because they feel so, it's not authentic. What's the word? I can't think of the damn word. But if you've ever been around people who are Cancers, it's like the words that they choose, and when the words come out, there is something there where you're feeling as they speak. You're feeling those words, right? So it really connects, so that there's like a greater chance of it resonating. There's a greater chance of it resonating. But beliefs and philosophy on life, there's something, a lot of history there about the past, Cancer energy. The other thing too is that when people have Cancer in the 9th, because this is ruled by Jupiter, that 9th house is ruled by Jupiter. So we think Jupiter and the moon. Anytime we have that combination together, especially if Cancer at the midheaven, these are usually going to be people where their name will be in the lights. Like we will hear about them, and it possibly may be many, many years after their death, because it's the public. It's Cancer energy. Everyone, like, who does not know this name? Is there anybody that doesn't know this name? Whether they agree with it, whether they believe it, whatever it is, they've at least heard of that name, right? Now, that North Node with that 14 degrees CEL, let me click on his chart to find out, because I have no idea what that CEL is, but it's conjunct Sirius at 12. And let me click on it because, okay, guess what? That is the part of celebrated persons. The part of celebrated persons conjunct his North Node. Celebrated persons. Celebrated. I do believe he was absolutely celebrated at one time, for sure. And nowadays, depending upon your beliefs, you may still celebrate him. There may be, neo-Nazis. Like there are people who for sure might align and think, hey, man, this person had it. I like the way their beliefs align with mine. That's a really good possibility. The other thing is that you see his North Node at 15 conjunct the celebrated persons at 14, and Sirius right there at 12, and then Chariklo at 12 even, right? We can draw that line all the way across. Let me see if I can go to a different color just to kind of, yeah. So 12, 12, 14, 15. And then that's a strong angle with Uranus, isn't it? 19 degrees. And then because it's his north node, we know then that his south node is also down here at 15. And we talked about it already. The south node at 15, but Vega's there at 13. And then Hygeia at 15. So this can create this T-square with his north and his south node. Let me draw that in. That's that T-square energy. T-square. Something connected to the past. The top of that T-square. Relationships, the law, the courtroom, lawyers, and freedom, and balance. Possibly prison. Maybe this person had history. Maybe they're repeating something they've done from the past, because this is, again, that extreme Uranus retrograde energy in the 12th house. And Uranus is at the tip of that. His Venus and his Mars in Taurus at those degrees over here in the 7th house. Do you see how they almost perfectly sextile his north node? Yeah, they're like at the same degrees. You see that? These are at 16 right here. So that connection is strong. That's a strong connection of taking action, your values based on, Venus and the desires, that magnetic energy. Remember, we always talk about Venus and perfection, beauty connected to Taurus, and the physical body right there, Mars. Sincerity, that's what it is. That's the word. Thank you. When we hear, when you listen to people who have a lot of Cancer energy, we feel their sincerity when they're speaking. This dude had Pallas Athena at 1. And then ancestors, that was the other extreme. Other than the Sirius at 28, he's got the ancestors at 29 degrees in Cancer. Oh my God. There's some sort of past and some sort of history. Yeah, there is definitely something here. 29, extreme energy. That ancestry thing, part of kindred, part of relations, or excellence. The native may be of noble progeny or honest relations. This can be somebody who, depending upon how it's aspected, they may be despised by relative, family members, or nobility. But if it's well disposed, they may be looked upon as though, with great admiration. So the idea of having of noble progeny or honest relations. Yeah. Ancestors. The 29 degrees. The connection to that. And just that extreme degree. And that's emotions, because it's Cancer energy. And it's part of the long-term goals, because it's in the 10th house for him. And that was looking at mostly, some of the things that we talk about all the time, without looking, like this isn't even just like one of the all asteroid charts. And so when you look at one of those charts, it tells you even more details. It's actually, when I pull up an all asteroid chart, it's really, really personal, actually. His Astrea, what's her name? Eris. Eris is a warrior, but she's mad. She's angry. His is in Pisces at 19 degrees in the 5th house. 5th house is children, fun, joy, creativity. Angry Eris in Pisces, substances possibly, but theater and creativity. Again, there's anger right there. Like Mars, angry. Childhood, right? Childhood. Where was childhood? Did he get to be a child? Right? Pisces can be hospitals, can be sick, can be under influences. Again, I don't know, like, his home life. Some of you may have interesting tidbits to add to this. Yeah, part of celebrated persons. Yeah, did you see that? Crazy, right? Neptune delusional and fueled his Pluto. Yeah. Good point, Lou. Absolutely. The controlling side for sure. He painted. Yeah, I read something that's why I mentioned like I wish somebody would have supported that, but when you have such extreme stuff, especially the progeny and the celebrated persons where you think you're of noble, heritage and you are a noble line, like you've got noble blood and noble race and you kind of and that's in your 10th house, right? So it's and then there's that it's when it comes to Cancer energy, it's not even so much about thinking it because you feel it when it's Cancer. You feel it. So when people feel things, how often when you hear people talk, um, you'll often hear them say, because they feel it, it makes it right because they feel it. And I know that when I feel it deep down like that, that it is right, you know? So many times that can get twisted and bent. To me, when you cross the line of harm, yeah, absolutely. Like that's where you have to learn to draw the line. That's where you have to realize, oh my God, we did this went too far. And I think that Estrella in that third house definitely did not help. And if you look in this chart here, look what he's got. Interesting, because we're in this right now. Juno in Virgo. We're in this. We have Juno. It's been in Virgo. It's been going back and forth in Virgo all of 2024. We're almost halfway through the freaking year, right? And so Juno and Virgo, partnerships, the body, again, Virgo can strive for perfection, right? And where's this at? In his 11th house. So again, that can speak to science, but it speaks to group energy and social circles. It's conjunct his 11th house. I'm sorry, his 12th house cusp line. But that's not all. If we back the chart up a little bit more, that's Earth. What is that trine? You see what it trines in his chart? That 24 degrees, it trines his goddamn Estrella in Capricorn in the third house and his fourth house cusp line. And Salacia at 18 up there in Virgo, the Salacia right there at 18, it's conjunct, it's got something also at 14, part of victory. Oh, scary. Part of victory. That's right there. Well, that's another freaking trine to the south node and to Hygeia, right? So it always takes multiple things, never just one thing when you see somebody who's done the things that they've accomplished. But look at all the trines. Like it wasn't just like here's a trine here that I didn't even point out. I'll just draw it in just to draw it in because we always have the misconception about trines that trines always mean good stuff, And again, trines just mean shit easily happens. And I'm sure this person probably had a lot of fun and there have probably been some times when it wasn't always about, I don't know, harming and controlling and experimenting and being like whatever. I don't but it's water energy, really powerful. So there's emotions, there's the wounds, there's a history involved. Dude had Scorpio energy on the second house cusp line. Scorpio energy, second house cusp line. So again, it's fixed energy within fixed energy. So right there, that can create an extreme when you have a doubling up of the same energy. These people can feel really authentic too, because it's like, well, it's fixed and fixed. That makes sense. But anytime we mix earth and water together, these people normally truly create something. And it doesn't mean it's a negative thing. I'm just saying you can make stuff with water and dirt, like you can make things. So, yeah, let's draw the big trine now with their midheaven in their second house of my desires and my goals, my midheaven. You see that? The 26 degrees and day-to-day routines and health. Pisces, 6th house, Virgo on Virgo energy. You see that? Yeah, he's got Sedna at 5 degrees in Aries. But this is his second, his 6th, and his 10th house. So he's got water, a water trine connecting together the earth houses of building something. Connecting the dots, making it material and tangible, organizing business, corporation, government. Like there's this ability to put it all together and to move forward and to do something with it. But Jupiter and the moon down there, that's a biggie to me. The Jupiter and the moon. Anytime you mix Jupiter and the moon together, and he's got it in multiple places in his chart, right? Because he's got Cancer energy in his 9th house. So you're mixing Jupiter and the moon energy there. There's the Jupiter and the moon mixed together here. Something done on a large scale because the public are going to be involved in some way when we mix the Jupiter and the moon energy, and you see it in multiple points in the chart. And then the other trine, that Venus and that Mars, yeah, well, where do they go? To the South Node in Hygeia again. Structure, order, what am I building, right? So that Juno energy, 24 degrees. What does that go to? His black moon Lilith and his Algo. Yeah, now the chart's getting unbelievably messy. But whenever you have so much, there's just such unbelievable support with the earth. And so people who have that kind of energy, you know, it's like they have a real responsibility in how they use that energy. Because they're going to have the power to get things done in a material, tangible way where we physically see it and the effect of it in our life. And what's freaky about this, what I just drew in, and I'm just going to highlight it here, not to freak people out, but I'm just going to go ahead and highlight it with a big trine, because then you'll see what I'm drawing here. But you'll see what I'm drawing, and you'll see that it's going to be the Solomon's star that I talk about. You see that? That big star. It's the double trine. One up, one down, even though he's got multiple trines, right? A lot of trine energy. It just means like they're going to be able to do something very easily. It's just going to happen. Even though it might not seem like it's just going to happen, but there will come a time when all these things kind of click into place and this shit just happens. And so that's why it's so important for the people around people like this, the people who sit by idly by silently and who don't say anything. Oh my God, there has to be people who are holding people accountable. Otherwise, holy shit, history can repeat itself.